welcome back to Star Wars Minute. It's the daily podcast where we analyze, scrutinize, and celebrate the Star Wars movies. In this case, The Last Jedi. 1 minute at a time. I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com. I'm
Alex Robinson from AlexRobinson.fun.
And today we're talking about Minute 2. Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. You know, I need to write down Episode 8 because I'm always going to forget, I think.
How could you forget?
Minute 8 starts with us finding out that Leia is certain that Jedi Master Luke Skywalker will return. It's going to be a return of the Jedi. Yeah. And it ends with the patented Star Wars camera tilt down to Dakar. Now, it took. You remember down to Dakar? Yeah. Getting Dakar. It didn't realize until just researching for this that was meant to be Dakar. Again, like we said yesterday, I thought maybe there was some time elapsed in between the two. Mm-hmm. But I mean, looking at it, it's obvious, and then right. Looking at the Wikipedia and in the book and stuff, it's like, oh yeah, they're starting out on Dakar. That makes sense. That's exactly where they just were. Mm-hmm. And so it's a really weird kind of immediate follow-up thing. Not weird in a bad way, but it's just interesting. Star Wars wise, I don't feel like we see that ever.
Where they continue from one planet to the next.
Where it's just like immediately where they were. Yeah, like no movie starts off where it ended, where the last one ended immediately. I mean,
not Star Wars now.
The handoff of Rogue One to Star Wars is one thing, but that's after the fact. Yeah. But this is interesting. I hadn't, for some reason, put that together. 'Cause we only see the planet itself for a minute, but it's jumping ahead. But interesting that I did not recognize that was Dakar.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty generic looking planet.
So here's the we're continuing with the crawl. Mm-hmm. We find out that the resistance has been exposed. Mm-hmm. The resistance has been exposed, which is a kind of a weird. I don't know if I'm happy with that wording. I mean, yeah. Have they been exposed, meaning like, they were unwise to lower their defenses, so they were, exposed? Like they were like, oh, like they didn't realize, or like, were they exposed as in like, oh, now we know that they exist?
Yeah.
Now we know.
Well, they must have known they existed already, because in the previous one, they were looking for the resistance.
Right? So how are they exposed? Like they've let themselves be, like we know where they are now, I guess? Is that what the exposure is?
I think somebody wrote a tell-all book. One of the
right.
By Anonymous.
Resistance Exposed.
Yeah.
In big letters. The unauthorized biography.
By Pete the Retailer.
Oh yeah, I hope she got off the planet.
Yeah, we don't know how many at least as of yet, we don't know how many people got stuck in the how many people got killed, how many of the resistance people got killed.
Right.
One other line I like in the opening crawl is where it says, as the First Order speeds towards the Rebel base. And that reminded me of the opening of the original Star Wars, where it says, like, Princess Leia races, on her starship. And so I kind of like that it started with another, but this, it's like they flipped it. One of my perceptions going into this movie originally was I assumed, based on The Force Awakens, that this movie was going to be a kind of remixing of Empire after the other one was a remix of Star Wars. I figured this one would have a lot of, and it does have some of that. Like, obviously, Rey goes to get trained and that stuff.
And this, starting out kind of going from, hey, we won, to, oh, it's a dark time for the rebellion, essentially like that.
Yeah.
Going from a high point to a low point immediately. and being kind of on the run is a very Empire thing.
And also they have their big space battle here at the beginning. I guess there's space battles kind of all throughout because they're being chased by Hux and the gang. So withdrawn. The opening score.
The opening score is 0-0.
I
So
thought
far,
the resistance was down starting at the beginning, but
no, they've been exposed, but so far.
But do you
New
notice
Republic? The Republic has been eliminated. They were decimated and unable to. Maybe that's what you were thinking. They were eliminated, knocked out in the previous round.
Right, that's what I was thinking of. They were their legions were decimated in that last in yesterday's. But do you notice any difference in the opening themes? Because they were re-record them each time.
Right.
So do you notice any differences
before it gets to the part where it changes? You're talking about just the regular Star Wars part.
the regular Star. Do you think John Williams just takes the same score that he has and just okay, everyone, we all know this by now, or does he tinker with it all the time? We need Chrysanthi Tan in here to point out things like this to us.
Yeah, where the differences are.
Yeah. I'm going to start writing down a question so that when we have Chrysanthi on the show, I'll have them all ready to go, all these musical questions. So first one is going to be, does she notice difference in the opening score?
Well, I feel like every once in a while, I don't think I notice enough that I could tell them apart.
Right.
By listening, I don't think I could hear like the main part, like, oh, that's Phantom Menace. But I feel like sometimes there's a little bit of a, oh yeah, okay, like this fits and maybe part of it is, recording technology at the time. Maybe some things sound crisper from going, full digital or not. And well, that does make me think of the WrestleMania 4.
Of course.
In 1988. I was, I knew in the back of my head, I had suspected that perhaps wrestling is fixed or outcomes are determined. It's still very, athletic, but professional wrestling is often, scripted. The outcomes are predetermined. And one of the parts where I was like, oh, I get it, is WrestleMania 4 when Macho Man Randy Savage first came out. I was like, they're using a different kind of fancier version of Pomp and Circumstance as his entry music. Like this is more orchestrated and regal sounding than his previous version. That's not the version that he plays every time. He's the only one who has different music now. Like they souped up his music for this. He's probably going to win this tournament, and he did.
Oh, interesting. So, Pomp and Circumstance.
Pomp and Circumstance. That's Macho Man Randy Savage music first and foremost in my head, then Graduation music.
That seems like an odd choice for him.
It seems like an odd choice for Graduations for me because it's like I keep expecting somebody to, fly off the top rope with an elbow. But yes, anyway, I not enough that I notice a difference, but I do like the transitions, things that I like noticing are the transitions from the opening theme into the score for the
new stuff
for the movie, into the movie specific parts. And conversely, we'll find out later the transition out from the movie back into the standard, directed by. And I think that the latter, those outros have not been handled as well. I feel like the original trilogy are great. Each one ends it's a really smooth. Even if you're talking, special edition Return of the Jedi, like, Ewok pan flutes or Yub Nub, either way, all four original trilogy outros smoothly transitioned into the kind of, the rolling credits music. But I'm trying to picture now in my head. I feel like we talked about how this transition isn't as smooth in some of the other ones. The only one that I can think of in my head right now is Augie's Great Municipal Band going into it.
I was going to say.
which is fine, I think. I don't know. It's a little bit off, but some of the other we'll have to look for it later on in the film. But right here, this is a nice transition into it's a nice smooth slide into the episodic score from the opening theme.
Mm-hmm.
Although I have a note about how the book is different than the movie. I said I was going to do that. But I don't want to jump ahead to that if you have any other things you wanted to talk about from this particular.
Well, one thing I want to say is we do see the, as is tradition in Star Wars movies, the first thing we see is some kind of starship.
Even in the holiday special, we see some kind of starship, but they're not first.
But I gotta say, and obviously in Force Awakens, they did the thing where you saw like negative space of the shadow of the ship,
right?
And then in Rogue One, you had the
the saga, the Star Wars story doesn't count, right?
Well, I mean, I just remember at Rogue One they did have a ship at the very beginning where at first you thought you were looking at a ship, but it turned out it was like the rings of the planet there.
Right.
And I don't remember how Solo opened, but
we'll find out.
But I thought this opening was a little bit underwhelming, at least, as because Star Wars frequently has such iconic opening shots. Nothing is ever going to compare with the Star Destroyer going over the. It's hard to do. There you go. But this one is just kind of like a zoom in on a ship, so it gets a little bit more exciting in the next thing. But it really just shows a ship sitting there, and it just starts to like move in towards it. So
I mean, I think that's what we traded it for. Essentially, we get a standard opening because they knew you're not gonna beat that original Star Destroyer, and you're not going to. There's only so many things you can do, and so why not just start slightly underwhelming and then do a cool follow-up thing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You start standard, like, okay, here's a ship, we're coming over,
right.
And then
it's the first way Rian Johnson is letting you know that your expectations are going to be undermined. You thought there's going to be a big dramatic opening with a ship? Sucker! So we'll have to keep an eye out for.
Speaking of dramatic openings, that leaves me a dramatic opening to do my bit about the book.
How it's different than the movie.
It is different than the movie. The novel has a prologue.
Question before you proceed.
Sure.
Do you know when? Is this the kind of thing where the novel and the book came out simultaneously, or is this something where the novel came out like 6 months later and they used it as a patch?
No,
one of them didn't come out until like long after the movie had come out.
I want to say that was the comic book adaptation, which we might get some people to weigh in on that later on in the season too, to talk about. Let's see. I don't see. DVD.
Do you have the book in front of you?
I do have the book in front of me. What did you want to know?
I just know if it had a copyright in the inside. If it was the same year because the movie came out in December, so if the novel came out after, it would have.
Although this is the expanded edition, so maybe that's different. 2018 Del Rey Mass Market Edition.
What year did this movie come out?
Copyright 2018. What year is it now?
The movie came out in 2017.
Okay.
So, anyway, what are the differences? I was just curious if the movie had already come out and they kind of were conscious of what things they'd received criticism for, and so like, okay, we have to fill in this or what?
I don't know. It seemed maybe we'll find out more and more changes. Maybe I should read further ahead than I have. But let's see.
I didn't mean to
The book was
undermine
first published by Del Rey in hardcover and ebook formats on March 6, 2018.
Oh, so 3.5 months later.
And this movie was December 15th, 2017. So yeah, it's a few months later. And apparently this the Rian Johnson had input on the official adaptation as to what to kind of include and what to expand. But there's a whole note on continuity kind of differences, but we'll get to those as we go through. But starting out right off the bat, like page 1 is prologue, And it's interesting because it dumps us right into what we will learn is a fantasy or a dream of sorts, because it starts with Luke Skywalker, hanging out farming on Tatooine with his wife Camie.
Whoa.
Yeah. And they're like, he's like, well, wonder what would have happened if I had, joined the Alliance and, had gotten that adventure and excitement I was always longing for. Like, I wonder if I would have been more happy or less happy. And he's kind of
weird.
Basically, everything kind of had carried on. I guess the Empire is still in charge of things, and he thinks about. He's like, well, I wonder if I like. I think even in this timeline, they don't have any kids. But it's an interesting kind of like longing for what could have been involving getting married to Camie, which is interesting.
So how did it segue out of this?
It's a dream, it just ends at
it ends up in Luke's pillow is gone.
Luke woke with a start, instinctively scooting up to a seated position. His mechanical hand whirred in protest, echoing the thrum of the insects that lived in the hardy grasses of Octu.
Also, it was just literally just a dream, like...
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's him kind of like being wistful in a dream about a life potentially lived. So it's weird because he's dreaming about living a different life. And in the dream, in that different life, he's wondering about living a different life.
It's almost like his mind is never on where he is. It's always the way to the horizon. I think it's kind of funny and sad and sweet that he picks Camie as his, fantasy spouse.
Right. I mean, it's pretty much the only other girl that he met in his life, right?
But at that point, because obviously he met Torrin Farr, he had to have met other women in the Alliance that he could be dreaming about. But I guess he wouldn't have met any of them. He wouldn't have met Torrin Farr or Leia
had this not happened, right?
So she was the only.
I mean, even going the Tonica sisters or what's that other Lisa Serlin? He didn't even get to meet any of those because he may have
Jenny.
never. Jenny. But so it's interesting. It goes from that, and then it goes directly into Leia talking about in Chapter 1. We get kind of Leia and the Resistance.
I wonder if in Luke's dream, Leia has also remained safely anonymous, or did she? Because we assume everything else. If we assume the only difference is Luke staying on the farm.
No, he. I don't know exactly where it says this, or if it does say this, but
Wormy. In the deleted scene, she's the one who calls him Wormy the most, by the way.
Yeah, so that's because she likes it. She's teasing him. She teases him a lot because she's got him on the spot. I don't know if it says it explicitly in here. In the Wikipedia, it mentions that because he never, because he never went and saved the day, then Leia was executed on the Death Star.
Damn.
And but I wonder, that would be an interesting thing to flesh out, right? That Star Wars, this little alternate Camie world.
What if?
And then maybe, although it would make more sense if he and Camie did have kids, then that would be a life. Then you could pick it up from there. You could have, hey, everything looks bad. The Empire took over. Leia got executed. Luke's just a farmer. He never learned the Force, but they had a kid, and the kid is strong with the Force. And all of a sudden, one of these lingering remaining Jedi come back to find him. Or he finds out about the Force through some other thing. Obi-Wan's spirit ghost. So, anyway.
But I love what if scenario, so I'll go.
Yeah, exactly. So that and I'll save a little bit for tomorrow too. I'll talk a little bit about what happens next in the book, but that's where where we're at. There's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
What? That was all the notes that I had for minute 2. You have anything else for minute 2?
Well, I have a
Any
list here
questions?
of cameos to watch out for.
Camie was only in the dream sequence.
Oh.
Camie-O. That's the score.
She married that Greek shipping magnate.
Right, yeah.
Speaking Camie-O. So some of these, I don't know if you'd consider them cameos or just they were cast in a role. So, well, obviously the Master Code Breaker is Justin Theroux, who we're going to see later on. Keep an eye out for him. J. Gordon-Levitt does a cameo, vocal cameo as Slow and Low.
Slow and low. Let yourself go.
Gareth Edwards, who we met last time around, is one of the salty rebels we'll see on Crate.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never heard of this gentleman. Gary Barlow is also a rebel soldier. He's the lead singer of the band Take That.
You say the late singer or the lead singer?
The lead singer, but
okay.
I don't know if he's the late singer, but the lead singer of the band Take That. So Take That. The Hamill family, of course.
Well, we'll get there.
We'll get there, Pop. And Princes William and Harry play stormtroopers. Obviously, it's going to be hard to pick them out. But after watching The Crown, I'm even more resentful of their getting to have a walk-on part in a Star Wars movie.
I love that you between the behind-the-scenes production and the royal family stuff, this is stoking your resolve, stoking your kind of anti-establishment, eat the rich, burn down the state, and we're not even at Canto Bight yet. So
that's just because I'm an American. I'm anti-royal. That's the
right. Oh yeah, of course.
Thing. You know who I don't resent is Tom Hardy. Actor Tom Hardy was cast as a stormtrooper. His scene was cut.
Oh,
so he's not in the movie.
Oh,
but
he's the one who makes all those like gaudy like hats and stuff, right?
Yeah, that's right. He solves mysteries with his brother.
Mm-hmm.
You know who wasn't cast in the movie? Joaquin Phoenix was supposed to be, well, not supposed to be, was at one point going to get the role of DJ. The Joker himself would play the DJ. Which makes me wonder, in the alternate universe, did Benicio del Toro play the Joker? So that could also be an interesting casting.
Joaquin was Leaf, right?
Leaf?
With the Phoenix family?
Yeah.
River and Leaf. Joaquin was Leaf, I believe, right?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that much about it, but
when they had all their nature names.
So that's not, so he was not. He changed his name to that, or it's his middle name.
I think his. We'll have to look it up, or we'll have to not look it up because he's not.
Hakeem
not appearing in this movie.
Phoenix. Yes. Well, also the actress with the delightful name of Gugu Mbatha-Raw.
Yeah.
She was originally going to be in it, did not make the cut. But Gugu.
She was filmed, but not made. Didn't mind. I remember that being a rumor beforehand, and I just
it just said she was rumored. So I don't know.
Oh, okay.
This is one of those internet things that tracks down every rumor that of anyone who was going to appear in the movie. Right. But yeah, that's about all I got for minute 2. Things are just getting started here.
Images for Gugu Mbatha-Raw Star Wars.
Gugu.
Yeah.
G-U-G-U.
Wow, there are all kinds of rumors going on. It's Star Wars. I forgot how crazy this gets. Reports rumored Tatiana Maslany, Gina Rodriguez, Olivia Cook were the only 3 actors in the shortlist for the role. Collider is confirming that Gugu Mbatha-Raw will star in the movie. So none of those people.
Good job, Collider.
It was previously recorded that Rian Johnson's film would star 2 female leads, but at the time of this post, there was no further information about her character. Now, I'm wondering if this is the Rose character.
Oh, interesting.
Because it's
she'd be the other female.
Rumored, she's here listed as rumored to be another female lead, and so I mean, other than Holdo, or
yeah. We could definitely see her filling more the Rose part. She's younger, person of color,
right?
So you could,
but that's interesting.
That would be very different. I think. Because I was watching when I was watching that documentary with Ryan Johnson, he says he definitely wanted Rose to be a nerd.
Right.
So I don't know if it's a matter of, because apparently Gugu is a model in real life, model and actress. So it might be harder to pull off the nerdiness aspect of it. But anyway, interesting. Good luck, Gugu. Hopefully your career's still chugging along. It must be something of a mixed blessing to have not gotten The Last Jedi, because it was such a controversial movie, and clearly Kelly Tran did not exactly.
Right, although she's kind of.
I just mean that she was hounded, not that she hasn't done anything, but that she was hounded off the internet by
exactly,
trolls.
And I can imagine being in either. Being in any of these films, the modern films, kind of being in anything, being famous in this modern era, makes me. I'm sure it must be terrible. So, but yes, it's possibly a dodged bullet, but who knows? But I do like that Kelly Marie Tran is not. She wasn't chased off of Star Wars. She did come back to play Rose Tico in the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, and hopefully we see more from her in the future.
Seymour.
Speaking of seeing people in the future, hopefully we see you in the future, listener, viewer, if you are watching this on StarWarsMinute.com/YouTube. And we will be here, every day, Monday through Friday, for the foreseeable future, for the next, 6 months or so doing this. So if you are listening to us here, know that we also do Patreon episodes, StarWarsMinute.com/Patreon every weekend. You can theoretically get us 7 days a week if you do that, which is a little bit ridiculous, but we seem committed to it for some reason. We also cover The Mandalorian and our show The Mindalorian at themindalorian.com. And you can follow us on Twitter at Star Wars Minute, Instagram at The Star Wars Minute. And if you want to chat with like-minded fans, there's two places to do so. You can go to Facebook, the Star Wars Minute Listeners Society, which it used to be the official place where we all hung out, but neither Alex nor I spend time on Facebook anymore. So you can go. There's still a lot of fans there. They're talking about the episodes and Star Wars stuff in general, and it's a fun place to be. But also, we have swimmels.starwarsminute.com, SWMLS, Star Wars Minute Listeners Society, where it's the kind of offshoot group of that. And it's an old-fashioned message board setup. It's a you can pretend it's the 90s again, kids. And there's discussion there. It's a little it's a little quieter, a little less trafficked because it's not Facebook, not everybody's grandma.
It's more selective.
But it's a fun place to be. So if you want to talk to us, either one of those places. Well, we're at StarWarsMinute.com, and the Facebook group has a lot of other fun people there. So if you want to talk more about Star Wars Minute, go to one of those places. Otherwise, we'll see and hear you back here tomorrow for a brand new episode of Star Wars Minute.
Star Wars Minute. Star Wars.